Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Post Finem with me, MOTDF. This is episode number 26. And 26 is a pretty important number to me. I asked my wife out on a date for the first time on the 13th, and then we got engaged on the 26th. Obviously not of the same month or even the same year, but it's an important day for me. So episode 26 is going to be an important episode for us, I've decided. And that is going to be because we are finally going to start working on our large reactor. Now, this guy is ridiculously expensive. I am not looking forward to all the crafting that's involved because let me just tell you, there is a butt ton of crafting. A butt ton. But the first thing that we need to do is actually to go into the mechanism tree and make an, whatchamacallit. Let's open our quest book because it'll tell me. An enriching factory, or an enriching chamber rather. Because in order to make a lot of the components that we're going to need going forward, we use mechanism metals, which we do make in the metallurgic infuser that we made last time, but we can make more of the metal quicker if we have an enrichment chamber. So let's take a look at that first. Let's take a look at an enrichment chamber. There we go. Enrichment chamber. So we need to make a steel casing, which is just some steel ingots, some electrical steel, and a basic control circuit, which isn't too bad. At least I don't think it's too bad. We've actually got a lot of these basic control circuits and stuff like that from doing the rating of the places with the fancy doors, the bunker type things, and also the missile silo had a whole bunch of them in it as well, of varying tiers. Anyway, so now that we have our steel casing, we can turn it into an enrichment chamber. I believe it goes something like that. It does. There we go. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. Enrichment chamber. Beautiful. So now let's take a look at the next thing that we need to do. Actually, let's go into the quest book and go ahead and claim this reward first, because what we want is we want this refined obsidian dust. We're going to need that. I mean, diamonds are useful, but we can create diamonds. We've done it before. We know how. Plus, we've gotten a decent amount of them from doing our raids on the pigment places and stuff like that. And we're going to need this in order to make some of the stuff that we need in order to make our large reactor. And if I already have it, then I don't need to make it. It's funny how that works, isn't it? Anyways. I still don't know why this is saying that I've done it when I haven't. So I'm not going to claim this quest because I haven't done it yet. But let's take a look over here. This wants us to make a reactor controller, a reactor control rod, a reactor power tap, and a yellorium fuel rod. So, real quickly, I don't know if I've showed you guys this before or not, but if you put an @ symbol before you look in JEI or NEI, depending on which type of inventory mod you guys are using, because both are available, and then you put in a a mod's name, it'll pull up all the blocks that are related to that mod. So first and foremost, let's take a look at what the yellorium fuel rod costs. So this is some steel, a little bit of graphite, and a little bit of yellorium. Not too bad, not too bad. To make graphite, it's actually pretty straightforward. I have it in this chest over here, actually. You take charcoal, you stick it in that lightning strike though. You stick it in the alloy smelter, and it'll process it into graphite bars. Just like that. And then we take the graphite bars, we take a yellorium, and then we take 6 of the steel ingots, and we craft them together, and we get a yellorium fuel rod. There we go. Now, 1 yellorium fuel rod is all fine and dandy, but it really isn't going to cut it for what we want to do. My goal is to make a 5x5x5 reactor with 4 fuel rods in the middle. I did a little bit of research. There's a web page that allows you to test big reactors, and I'll actually include that in the description below. That way, if anyone wants to check it out, they can. But yeah, I think it's the most feasible for the amount of materials that we have, but it's also pretty economical as far as when it comes to its use of yellorium ingots, and that's kind of even more important. But anyways, let's take a look at what the power tap costs, and this is where things start to get pretty expensive, right? It wants these Ender energy conduits, some reactor casings, and a power management device from Engineer's Toolbox. So we got lucky. We actually found some of these. I don't remember where, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull them out. But these guys are pretty expensive, if I can look it up. It takes some vibrant alloy and some conduit binder. Actually, now that I think about it, it's really not that expensive. But it's still, we don't have to craft it, which is nice. And then the power management device. Aha! This goes into the fabricator, which we built last time. This needs a microchip tier 1, a couple of capacitors, some redstone, and a couple of gold nuggets with some solder. So we actually need 2 of these because we need one for our reactor controller as well. You can see it right here. 2 microchips. 2 microchips for capacitors. I think it's 8 of that, right? No, it's 8 of this. But that's okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and toss these in, get them crafting up. That is the squeezer, not the fabricator. Good job. Good job. Well played. So, microchip, 2 capacitors, a couple of gold. Ah, I screwed that up. Redstone in the corners. And then we can toss the solder in, and there it goes. It's working. Okay. So while that's cooking up, let's take a look at what else we need for the power tap, and that would be some reactor casing. So steel, graphite, and yellorium. Yellorium, steel, and graphite. Alright, not too bad. Reactor casing, let's go ahead and craft it. Also, each of these create 4 reactor casings, so it's not... It's expensive, but it's not as expensive as it looks when you first take a look at it, right? Because you gotta remember, these graphite bars are just charcoal that's been smelted a second time. The steel ingots are a little bit expensive, but we can do that pretty easily with our chemical synthesizer. So... well, we just need to wait for our power management device to go ahead and be processed, and there it is. Very nice, very nice. And then we'll go ahead and craft up our power tap. So there we go, that's the second one done. Now let's look at what's next. The reactor control rod. So what does this one cost? Again, this isn't too bad. It's just 4 silver, another set of reactor casings, and an advanced control circuit. I don't think I brought an advanced over here, did I? I didn't. So let me go grab an advanced circuit real quick. It's just over here. And then we'll grab a stack of silver so we can go ahead and make that in our chemical synthesizer. There we go. Grab out the silver. Then grab another piece of yellorium, 4 more steel, 4 more graphite. And then we'll go ahead and craft up the reactor casing again. And then we'll make the reactor fuel rod. There we go. Now we're going to need 4 reactor control rods, and you only need 1 power tap. But what's not included in this quest is that you actually need to, oops, wrong button. You actually need the reactor access ports at least 1, because that's where you can input your yellorium and remove your plutonium ingots from. So, and then we can actually repurpose the plutonium back into yellorium, put it back in, so on and so forth. But that's something much, much further down the line. Anyways, now this guy here, the reactor controller, that's the last thing that we need to craft. And all of this stuff that's left in here has some place in the reactor controller. This guy is a monster. So we need more reactor casings, which we've already seen, and it isn't too bad. We need a screen tier 1, which we've actually gotten from doing our rating of bases and stuff like that. We already made the power management device, but the power monitor, the central processing unit tier 3, and the atomic alloy, these are where things kind of get crazy. So first thing first, let's go ahead and craft the power monitor. So again, we got lucky. We don't have to craft a conduit probe because we already found one, but as you can see, it kind of creates its own little rabbit hole. So let's go ahead and grab these out real quick, and we will craft our power monitor. And of course that doesn't want to shift click in, so is it because I don't have everything? I think I don't have everything. What am I missing? I'm missing the machine chassis. Haha, I do not have everything. That would be why I couldn't shift click it in. And it still just doesn't want to get shift clicked in. Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Let's go ahead and put it all together, grab out our power monitor, like so. We'll put it in here. Now the next thing that we need is the atomic alloy. Now, as you can see, we need to make reinforced alloy, and we need to combine it with our refined obsidian dust, which we got from our last quest. But in order to make the refined alloy, we need the enriched alloy. In order to make the enriched alloy, we need iron and redstone. Yeah, as you can see, it takes a little bit of time. So why don't I go ahead and do this off camera, and I'll come back to you guys after I get this all set up and going. Alright guys, I brought you back for a second because I didn't remember, I remember that I didn't show you what the enrichment chamber does. So the enrichment chamber goes ahead and converts 1 redstone into 1 compressed redstone, which is very useful, because if I put 1 redstone in here with 1 iron ingot, I can only make 1 refined alloy, or refined metal? I don't remember. At any rate, by sticking it in the enrichment chamber first, it gives you the compressed, right? And then this gives you a lot more, actually more than I anticipated. So actually I have to grab 2 more iron ingots. But anyways, what you do is you just throw your iron ingots in there, and it takes the redstone from here, combines it with this, in order to be able to make the enriched alloy. So yeah, it's definitely something you should look into, is making the enrichment chamber, because it makes making all the other stuff a lot more economical. But I will bring you guys back once I have all the alloys that we need. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So I ran into a little bit of a situation. If, for instance, I were to... Can I please remove you? Please, please, please. So if I were to pulverize this diamond, right, it gives me diamond dust, which it's supposed to. But then if I stick the diamond dust inside the enrichment chamber, it's supposed to give me compressed diamond dust. But it gives me back my diamond. Now, I don't know if this is a recipe conflict, because both of them are recipes. So if, for instance, I look at uses and I look at, where is it? The enrichment chamber. See, it says, oh, it's a regular diamond, not a, I fail. So if you crush it to diamond dust, it reconstitutes the diamond, and then if you stick a diamond in, it'll break it down into, or not break it down, it'll compress it into compressed diamond. Well, I made this one all the way through because I didn't think it would work the other way. But actually, this is a really good opportunity for me to show you what I was talking about before. If I grab one redstone, one iron ingot, we come over here, we throw this one redstone in. See, it only gives us 10, whereas the compressed version gives us 100, so we can only make 1 instead of 10. It's always better to go with the compressed version if you can, which is why the enrichment chamber is so important. So let's go ahead and compress another diamond. Should be able to grab this guy out. I can. We'll stick that in there, and then we'll stick the compressed diamond in there, and then that'll start running to go ahead and make the advanced alloy. And we'll go ahead and grab this one out and stick that one in there, and then when that one's done, I can stick the compressed obsidian in with it. Actually, I needed a second one of those too, don't I? But yeah. So that'll give us the atomic alloy, which we have right there. And then the last thing is the central processing unit CPU tier 3. Oh, and this is where all the fun is, right? It needs 4 emeralds, 2 microchip tier 3s, an arithmetic logic unit, and a control unit. The microchip tier 3 isn't too bad. All it is 4 of the microchip tier 1s, so we can go ahead and do that real quick. But you gotta remember, you do need 2. So grab the 2 microchip tier 3s out. And then we need the control unit, which is 3 transistors, a redstone clock, or not a redstone clock, just a clock, a piece of redstone, and 4 of these guys. So we'll grab those 4, grab a redstone, grab some gold, grab 3 transistors. I think that's everything. And that is the control unit, yes. So we need to make the clock, which a clock is just 1 piece of redstone surrounded by some gold. Not too bad, not too bad. And then we need to make... Oop, that's the wrong one. That's still the wrong one. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. I need another piece of redstone. Okay. So then we'll go ahead and craft that guy up. Now we have the control unit. And then we need the arithmetic logic unit, which will be 3 more transistors, 4 iron nuggets, a microchip, and a piece of redstone. So grab a piece of redstone, grab a microchip, grab 3 transistors, not 4, 3, 4 iron nuggets, and that should be everything. There we go. And now I think if we grab these emeralds and this power management device that we created earlier out, we should have everything we need in order to be able to craft. Oh, I don't have the reactor casing. Ah, fail. So let's go ahead and create some more of this reactor casing. The reactor casing is going to be really important. When we go to make our large reactor, the vast majority of our reactor is going to be made with the reactor casing. Alright, and then we'll go back into the reactor controller, and of course it still doesn't want to work. So we'll just place it all in manually. The arithmetic controller, the CPU. I don't think I'm placing this right, am I? Ah, that's because I'm trying to make that. Ha ha. Oh, I am all in a dither, guys. This is a lot of crafting, and I don't have enough for that. Come on. I definitely have enough for that. If I can stop clicking on the wrong things. I have no redstone. No redstone. Okay. 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 There we go. There's our central processing unit, tier 3. And let's go ahead and grab out our power manager and our screen, and I think that should be just about everything, if I'm not mistaken. There we go, and there's our reactor controller. Alright. So let's go ahead into our quest book and we'll take a look. So this is offering us some uranium ore, some more reactor casing, half a heart, or some AB9 clips. Well, I can make all the reactor casing I need. I'm going to take the uranium because that'll be refined into yellorium, and that's what we power a reactor with. Very nice. Mo power 000. This wants us to get into the turbines from the reactors. Yeah, we're not going to do that right now. Laser drill precharger. Now that you can produce large amounts of power, it's time you find a good use for it. The first step is to make some laser prechargers to convert that power into laser light. Why do I need to do that? Before you can make this, you're going to have to figure out how to get some pink slime to make a pink slime crystal. Aha! Haha! Okay, well that's going to be a rabbit hole and a half coming up. Same with this guy. So we're going to leave those be, I think, for the time being. But like I had said, we're going to need the reactor access port before we can really continue, which is a piston and a chest and some reactor casing. So I'm going to go ahead and grab those real quick. And then I think we're going to craft up a whole bunch of the reactor casings, and then I think we're going to start building our reactor down in our reactor room. As soon as I can find... There's my piston, and there's my chest. There we go. And we need the reactor casing. Grab the access port. There we go. So now we have all that. Let's go ahead and grab out all of this stuff, and then we'll look at our reactor casings. I don't know that we'll need that much, but we can, well, actually, yeah, we're going to need that much. Probably going to need more than that, honestly. So let's go ahead and start laying out our reactor real quick, or what we can of our reactor. This is going to be where our reactor room is. As you can see, it's right below our room upstairs. And where? 3. By 3? Yes, there we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I misplaced that block, but that's okay. 6, 7. Because the inside is going to be a 5 by 5, so the outside needs to be a 7 by 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. I actually made this room the perfect size without even trying to. Wow. Kudos to me. Kudos to me. And then we have to fill in the inside like so. There was a little bit of Iskall that came out there for a second. And I don't have enough stuff. But that's okay. So we'll put we want the power tap at the back because we want the power to go up to that stuff up there. So we'll put the power tap there. The control rod will have to go at the top of this, so that doesn't need to be there. Or not that, rather. That doesn't need to be there. Stick that there, and then our reactor controller there, and there we go, our Yellorium glass. Now the Yellorium glass actually does emit light, so it's pretty nice. But as you can see, we're going to need a lot more stuff. We're going to need a lot more steel, a lot more of the charcoal, a lot more of a lot of things in order to get this built all the way up. And that's going to take some time. And it's probably not going to be anything you guys are going to be interested in watching. So why don't I make a cut? I will go ahead and craft up the rest of the stuff that we need, and I will come back to you when we are just about to finish this guy. Okay? Woo! Glitch into the wall there for a second. Alright, we'll be right back, guys. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. So I just realized I actually forgot a piece of the machine that we're going to need, and that is the reactor coolant port. So I'm going to go ahead and craft that up for you guys now. It's a bucket with some steel and some casings. And so what'll happen is this will allow me to go in here, and this will be where the Yellorium goes in, and this is where the plutonium comes out. Now this, however, is where I can pipe in fluids to help keep the reactor cool. Now the reactor can be cooled by a couple of different things. Why am I getting so hot? I don't know where the heat source is coming from. And I am overheating again. If I step back here, I'm not. Okay. So there's a couple of different things that we can use to cool the reactor. The best two have been debated back and forth by tons of people, and now I'm hot again here. Why am I overheating? This is obnoxious. Anyways, the best two are gelid cryothium and liquid ender. You can use destabilized redstone, you can use destabilized glowstone, you can use water, but all of them have significantly decreased values for keeping it cold. Now, I've done a little bit of research, and I think the best method is actually kind of a combination of the two, and that would be liquid ender directly around the Yellorium fuel rods, and then gelid cryothium everywhere else. So, but we're not going to do that. I think we're going to probably just do the honestly don't know. Honestly don't know, guys. I think gelid cryothium would probably be a little bit better just with the layout that we have. But let's take a look at how to make gelid cryothium. Gelid cryothium. So to make gelid cryothium, you need to melt cryothium dust in a magma crucible. And to make cryothium dust, you need blizz powder, saltpeter, snowballs, and redstone. The snowballs and the redstone aren't that big of a deal. The blizz powder, on the other hand, is pretty rare. And to get to get niter, which we can use in place of the saltpeter, you can crush gunpowder, apparently. Or you can pulverize sandstone. That's the other thing that I thought it was. Okay. Or sag milling, or a couple other ways. But at any rate, this guy comes from the blizz rods, which you can only get from killing a blizz, which in order to kill a blizz, you need to first find one, of course, and then you need to get lucky enough to have one drop. I think, yeah, we have 2 blizz rods, which means we can make 4 cryotheums, because each blizz rod will break down into 2 blizz powders. And each blizz powder will make 1 cryotheum dust. So we'd have 4 cryotheum dusts, or 4 buckets of gelid cryotheum. In order to cool our entire whatchamacallit thing here, we would need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 times 5, I would need 100. 100 pieces of gelid cryotheum. Because unlike a lot of fluids, gelid cryotheum does not flow. So if I were to put a gelid cryotheum right here, it would fall down here and only take up a 1 block space. Now liquid ender, on the other hand, I could place right here and it would flow all the way down. So it's actually a little bit of a cheaper solution, especially seeing how easily we've been able to get ender pearls. Come on, get through the door. Yeah, we have 119 ender pearls because we've been able to find those places where they have the Einsteinium, which is what is used to make the ender pearls. So we actually have a decent amount of ender pearls, and if we look at liquid enderium, it's not too expensive. Not liquid enderium, liquid ender. Resonant ender. All you do is you melt a magma pearl an ender pearl in a magma crucible, and you get a quarter of a bucket. So 4 ender pearls equals 1 bucket. And in order to set up that thing down there, we would need 20 buckets, so about 100 ender pearls, which means we have enough ender pearls with what we have, with 19 left over. So we may look at doing that in the meantime, but that does mean we would have to make a magma crucible. So why don't we take a look at that real quick, and then after we craft the magma crucible, we'll probably go ahead and wrap up the episode. It is getting a little on the long side, I think. I have been recording for a while. So, magma crucible. It needs a leadstone energy cell, some nether bricks, some invar gears, a redstone reception coil, and a machine frame. Okay. Well, we actually already... Oh, that's just the energy frame, not the energy cell. Okay. Well, that makes things a little bit different, doesn't it? I'm going to go ahead and craft some of the stuff off camera, and I'll come back when I get everything together, and we'll go ahead and craft this machine. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So, we're going to go ahead and craft up this magma crucible. It's pretty straightforward. We're going to go ahead and make these nether bricks real quick. So, these nether bricks are made from the nether brick ingots that you just saw, and those are made by smelting a piece of netherrack. Not too difficult. Not too difficult. And that's the wrong one. Now we need to go ahead and make a machine frame. And we need to go ahead and make the leadstone energy frame. There we go. And then we need to make the redstone reception coil. There we go. And then we just need to make these Invar gears. And I am short 1 iron ingot. Of course I am, because I can never be prepared. So let's go ahead and grab 1 more iron ingot. Run back over here. Go ahead and craft up this last Invar gear. And then we should have everything. There we go. Look at that, guys. Look at that. And there we go. Now what I'll do is I can put the ender pearls in here and it'll melt it down into this. Only problem is in order to get fluid out of this, because it has no holding tank, we actually need a different machine. And I am drawing a blank on what that machine is called. I think it's not FLY, FLUID. Fluid transposer? Yes? Fluid transposer. Yes, okay, so, yeah. We're going to have to craft a fluid transposer, but I think I'm going to leave that for next time because, well, we've done a lot of crafting today, guys. We've done a lot of crafting. And I think, I forgot, I actually need to take this out. There we go. And there we go. I also want to take a look at our quest book, because we have some extra live quests that we can claim. Because I'm still grinding up zombies and pigment off camera. So, there we go. There's 1. There's 2. And we'll eat those full hearts. And now we're up to 16, guys. We are up to 16. We are doing really good. We are, oops, I just messed that up. We are doing really well. 16 lives is pretty good. I am feeling pretty confident in the dark steel armor with our dark steel tools. And I think next episode I want to go and take another look at that area that had the darkness. I do not know if we'll still get wrecked or not, but we did learn, I think it was 2 episodes ago now, that we have these chemical buckets that we can use. And I still haven't been able to check to see if mobs are affected by this or not, but I know that these 2 affect me, and that's what's important, right? This will heal us, and this will cure us of like poison or wither or any other type of negative effect, which is hugely, hugely, hugely important. But I think that's going to end the episode, guys. If you liked it, please feel free to like and subscribe. If you didn't, feel free to leave a comment telling me how you think I could do better. I always appreciate any type of feedback. I hope to see you guys in the next episode. But until then, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.